Hello, my name is Emmanuel Bonnet-Jailly, and I'm about to talk to you about the Jean Monnet Chair in Innovative Governance, which I hold here at the University of Victoria in British Columbia in Canada. This Jean Monnet Chair in Innovative Governance is offered by the School of Public Administration across its different programs in public administration, in community development, and a number of courses that offer knowledge in dispute resolution. The goal of the Jean Monnet Chair was to Europeanize the curriculum. The idea was that you, our students, couldn't finish either a Master's of Public Administration or an MA, Master in Community Development, or take courses in dispute resolution without having any knowledge of what is being done in the European Union, which is a place where lots of innovation are going on today. So the idea of Europeanizing only means that we make you study the Canadian examples, the Canadian knowledge, the Canadian practice, but we also expose you to materials that are coming from the European Union programs and allow you to, policy programs, and allow you to learn from both Canada and the European Union member states, obviously. So there are three basically teaching units, if you want. There are two of those teaching units are basically full courses. One is a course in intergovernmental relations, so the relations between different levels of government. I'll detail this in a minute. One has to do with community development, which is a whole course also on leadership and community development, which is offered through RMA, where you basically look at how it's done in Canada and how it's done in the EU. And then another one is basically looking at dispute resolutions systems across the European Union. And it's 3 units, it's 3 times 3 hours, so by far not a whole course, obviously, but just some elements of a whole course. And it's been offered in different courses, which you can find more details about on the course outlines and in the different courses that are offered there as well. Our goal is to have about 4 students a year, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less, that do some research comparing what is done in Canada with what is done in the EU. One of the goals there is to teach students of the public sector, students of the non-profit world that are based in Canada, what is done in the European Union. So they have a broader understanding, not just Canadian understanding or North American understanding of these issues, but something that is a little broader and looks at EU innovation in this domain. Our students come from obviously the various cohorts that we have here at UVic in the School of Public Administration. So we have students who come into the school just after their undergraduates, and usually they're excellent students. They're A-rated students, otherwise they wouldn't get into the program. And we also have outstanding students who have work experience, and in that case that have 3 to 5 years of work experience related to the public sector and non-profit sectors. And so these are the 2 core groups that are eligible to take these courses because they are students of the School of Public Administration. But we also offer those courses across the whole university campus. And then we have students who are coming from, let's say, political science, sociology, economics, and various other areas that have an interest in understanding policy or have an interest in policy and would like to subspecialize. And so these students are also welcome in the course. And usually, you know, for instance, in the dispute resolution case, I have a couple of students coming from the law school. In the community and development course, it's and leadership course, the community development and leadership course, it's a little bit open to students who are coming from other MAs, and the same for the public administration. And ultimately, What I would really like is to see some students do other things than just the course, but also do their final report or their final thesis for their MA in an area that where they compare basically the Canadian example with the European one. So the three courses, let me talk about the three courses. The first one is on intergovernmental relations. So it's the relationship between different levels of governments. And in Canada, we look at complex, innovative policy and governance. We look at how the federal government is interacting with the provinces, but also how the provinces and the federal government are interacting with local governments, for instance, municipalities, but also how the federal government is interacting with First Nations. And this is a very important part of our discussions because of the process of reconciliation that the federal government engaged now a couple of years ago, which changes quite a bit the relationship that we, the public sector has with First Nations and is rewriting the system. In the European Union, there's similar examples, even though many less First Nations, obviously. There are very distinct cases, especially in Scandinavia, of nations, of people who want to be recognized for their own identity and culture, and have engaged and have been very successful at engaging with the European community, with the European Union, institutions, and in a way rewriting their relationship with the member states. And so the course looks at those, obviously, looks at sometimes very difficult, tense relations in the rewriting of these relations. And it's very interesting, obviously. The second course looks at basically community development. And in Canada, we have comprehensive community initiatives as a model. In the EU, it's called the community-led local government or local development mechanisms, but the principles are very much the same. One of the competitive advantages of comparing the practice of community development and leadership as it is traditionally taught in the country, in Canada, versus the EU is that it gives you a perspective, but also you have access to European-wide policies that have developed policy tools that are very interesting because very sophisticated and really allow you to play with the tool and play with leadership options and community development options and really allow you to work through what it is to have a community-led local development, which is very interesting. And so it enriches the course tremendously to have this European experience because it puts the students in a way, especially the students that have lots of practice, a little bit on the defensive because they have to rethink the way they've done things in the past. And they gain tremendously from it. Every year, it's the third year that I've offered the course, and I think every year students really gain from it tremendously. Now, in dispute resolution, the work has been to show you how the European Union, and that is just what I provide. It's 3 units, it's 9 hours of basically review of texts, regulatory systems, the regulation, and the process in place in the European Union to resolve disputes broadly that take place between service providers, sometimes small businesses, people who sell things on the web, basically across all the member states, which is quite vast, right? And to look at how the EU basically has organized a dispute resolution system for all this web-based trade and commerce that is going on across the European Union. We're talking about millions and millions of exchanges and trade and selling of goods and buying of goods across 28 member states. And obviously there are millions of complaints. And so the EU has tried to tackle and find a way to provide a standard service across all of the member states. And it's a very interesting procedure. It's also very interesting for students who are interested in dispute resolution to see how it's basically happening in the EU, how it's homogenizing, how it's standardizing complaint processes across the union. So the 3 courses change everything, obviously, across the different programs that we offer, because they Europeanize. They give you, in one of the course that you take for each one of the MAs, they allow you to have a European experience and to see how it's done elsewhere and compare and contrast and see. It opens your eyes on something similar but not always the same, obviously. You can find a lot more information on the UVic School of Public Administration website. There is a page that you can see on the PowerPoint presentation right here, which is basically where we showcase our programs. That basically describes much more in detail how the course works. You have to go inside each program. So students who are interested in public administration, you have to go towards the public administration program and identify the course on intergovernmental relation to basically find that course. If you are interested in community development, then you have to go into the CD program course offering to find the course where it's offered, which is the CD 525. And then if you do the course, if you do electives or if you take a course in dispute resolution, it's the same. You have to actually look and find which course specifically addresses the Jean Monnet chair. But it's all there online, and it changes a little bit every year because of scheduling, but the 3 courses are offered every year across all our programs, and so I would welcome you there, and I hope that you will also agree with me that it's a great addition to what the school offers. Thank you very much.